Buying literal symbols used to propagandize capitalist success denotes you a place of high social value on economic success. No one has ever bought a $5,000 outfit because they liked it. They aren't better in any way. It is merely a way to socially represent your status as a capitalist oppressor in the class hierarchy. Then use that status as if you actually worked harder to earn that much. One of my favorite things is usually the people that come in here present themselves as like legitimate, like studied Marxists. You know what I mean? 2015 account. Brother, these are ultimately inconsequential things, okay? You are deciding these things. I don't believe in these things. You also don't even understand how I've acquired these things. The symbolism that you place on the articles of clothing that I wear is in your mind. Because at the end of the day, the level of financial success that I've attained would not change whether I wear tattered clothes or expensive articles of clothing. And this is before we even realize that, you know, when you are an influencer or when you have a big platform, people just like send you shit. This is not a serious or sincere argument. You are demanding that I guess, LARP. If this was the case, Asmongold would be the true communist from your perspective, regardless of the reactionary garbage that he puts out on a daily basis. Do you find yourself in agreement with that? Do you think Asmongold, who wears the same tattered t-shirt over and over again, is actually a communist? Both Asmongold and Moist Critical are far wealthier than I am, and yet they wear regular articles of clothing. I mean, I do as well, but, you know, I do have expensive articles of clothing. I think it's just an inconsistency, Hassan. Everyone has these. It's a losing battle. It's not a battle at all. It's not. It's not something that he's not lumping. He's not a lumpen pro. No, you're wrong. He's not a pro at all. He owns multiple businesses. This is what I mean. This is pure aesthetic markers that you are identifying and hyper-focusing on. It's pure liberalism. Why are you so smug, Lamau? I don't know. It might just be my ESL brain. For people who fancy themselves to be Marxists, they should be focusing on not how much money that someone has, what clothes they wear, but how they make the money. Are they making it through wages? Is the overwhelming majority of their revenue coming from voluntary subscriptions or direct wages? Do they continue to accumulate capital if they stop working? These are the questions that you must be asking yourself. It's a self-defeating argument to begin with. It is a demand oftentimes made by reactionaries, and it's yet one that unfortunately self-identifying socialists also engage in. It's a very strange thing that I see people do all the time. And I'm the worst person to potentially make this argument because everyone, whenever I talk about it, even though I had this exact same perspective when I didn't have any expensive clothes whatsoever or didn't have any money whatsoever, and yet now that I make it, people say, oh, you're just defending yourself. You're engaging in a defensive posture. You just want to do hyperconsumption. You just want to do hyperconsumption. You're selfish. But it's also a self-defeating argument. And it's oftentimes one that, like, it should make you realize that it's a stupid argument to launch against people who are socialist. You should recognize that when you see the primary vectors of this attack coming from right-wingers. And yet, in many circumstances, a lot of self-identifying socialists also lean into it as well, not realizing that they're like joining forces with the reactionaries. It's just a way to say like, oh, being a socialist is about being a woke scold. Being a socialist is about living an ascetic life. You can't have markers of success in any way, shape, or form. Not that it matters to me. So I don't do it because I want to present myself as like a successful person or whatever. Does that make sense? I met your uncle. You think Jank is fucking caked up? What are you, crazy? That's not a great argument. Cars and clothing have a physical value and does represent something more than just a shirt. We agree on most everything. Just I saw you on the street in that car. I think you were a complete douche. There's ideological substance behind clothing and cars. They represent something more sometimes when used as symbols of propaganda. Okay, good. There's also a propaganda component to it anyway. Okay, the propaganda component comes from the fact that by and large in society, these are markers of success. People look at that and they go, wow, I would like to have that. These are lifestyle signifiers that are presented as like aspirational goals. At the end of the day, it all stems from this. You don't personally care about fashion, which is fine, right? There are other things that you like. And if I were to identify whatever the thing that you like and spend a good deal of money, the same deal of money, or even larger lump sums of cash on the thing that you like, you would find that excessive consumption to be appropriate. It's just on this circumstance, many people don't give a shit about it. That's it. But ultimately, it's unproductive all the same. Isn't your mom a mega landlord? Yes, the biggest. Very wealthy family and background. Yes. Super powerful. Notice how this is just an entry point into establishing like some kind of insincerity. I take care of my family financially. I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate. And therefore, I can do that. You know, I paid for their student loan debt. I paid for my mom's student loan debt, my brother's as well. These are not substantive critiques, many of which is just made up. And it's endlessly frustrating that people who are claiming to be Marxist or people who are claiming to be self-identifying socialists who get duped by totally reactionary framing that hyper-focus on the aesthetics like as this person is doing. And I don't really care that much. It seems like you do. But I also don't believe Hassan. He wears that shit because it's expensive to brag, whether he realizes it or not. Or maybe that's not the case at all. Maybe it's because I like fashion, and some fashion brands are very cool, and they send me shit. And sometimes I even purchase it myself. Perhaps that's the case. If you've watched me for long enough, you know I'm very transparent about my beliefs and very transparent with my actions, perhaps a little bit too revealing. So why the cynicism? Why do you think I have an ulterior motive in this case? It's totally surface level, totally hyper-focused on aesthetics. And it's ironic because oftentimes it is a reactionary critique, and yet a lot of self-identifying Marxists and socialists find themselves whipped up into a frenzy by this reactionary critique that is deployed insincerely, especially this iteration, this last iteration of the insincere manufactured outrage campaign came at the heels of a humanitarian aid mission to a country that is currently being starved by the largest imperial superpower. The United States of America is directly and deliberately starving the Caribbean island nation of Cuba, okay, a communist country. How can you call yourselves good socialists or anti-imperialists when falling for the most bottom-of-the-barrel propaganda, becoming warriors for the reactionary cause, adding on to the distraction, diluting the goals of this trip? Personally, think. You're eating the bait. Yeah, see, my hobbies have creative value. Designer clothing only holds value because of how expensive it is, and I guess to be a clothing item, but 99% to be only expensive. See, exactly. You just already revealed they're worthless if you can't brag. It's ironic because I've never mentioned any of the prices of my clothing ever in my entire fucking life. And the only reason why you think you know what it is, by the way, there's no truth to what these people are fucking claiming anyway. Okay. Most of my shit is vintage or gifted or sent in PR drops. But the irony is there's never been a point. You saw that because someone who's reactionary presented it as a talking point and you got fucking played. Also, you literally admitted, yeah, your hobbies that you like have creative value. You feel like your hobbies are important to you. You have a different set of standards. But at the end of the day, fashion is also artistic expression. I'm not going to defend that. It doesn't matter. My point is, this is an utterly unproductive conversation, and I hope you can comprehend that. Where you take pics, everyone knows how expensive the brands are. That's the entire point. No, they don't. No, they do not. None of them have like branding on them. But again, you refuse to recognize this. When I was broke, I was still trying to seek out drip. And now that I have the capabilities of purchasing it, oftentimes it's free regardless. The thing is, you keep getting hit by this criticism time and again. Why haven't you developed more visible work that would provide an effective counter narrative? You've been in here for 39 months. You've given me a $5 subscription for 39 months. How the fuck is it my fault, dude? What are you talking about? I haven't created visible work. Okay, now I'm starting to get pissed off. Brother, why do you think this became a point of controversy, a point of contention? You literally are blaming me for you eating the fucking bait. The visible work in this circumstance would have been, going to Cuba. You have to, at a certain point, realize, if you read my earlier comment, I said, I don't care about your clothes. Okay. At a certain point, you have to realize if I stay at home and do commentary, I'm actually just farming donations off of other people's plight. If I actually directly go to an area of impact to try to physically help, then I'm performative and fake once again. If I wear expensive clothes that I never reveal how much they are, they say, oh, you're a hypocrite. You're socialist, but rich, which again, those two things are both true, right? But it's not hypocritical. If I wear tattered clothing, then they say I'm a LARPer. You know what I mean? I want to see people's work enabled by my donations. I mean, you've been in here long enough. I think you know that that's happening, right? Not just the one-time fundraisers. Okay, brother.